Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show.
Howdy.
We have an important Monday morning.
So it's follow-up Friday here on Texas Football Today. It's follow-up Friday.
Well, I feel like it's follow-up Monday.
Well, but there's no alliteration with that.
Okay, that's
so
fair.
It's follow-up Friday here on Texas Football
on
Today.
a Monday.
And people who were with us on Friday last week may remember that we had an exclusive, groundbreaking, I would say, earth-shattering report on the teens.
We were outraged.
Where we talked about how the teens are creating fake Twitter accounts to bully their school districts into closing.
The youths.
Yes, exactly. Actually, we have a clip if we want to catch people up on what we talked about. We need answers sooner than later, LISD. Literally the only thing she's ever tweeted is about this. This is her first one on January 30th. It's absolutely ridiculous. The weather's only getting worse and other school districts have closed. Y'all need to close school and send our kids home. Speaking as a parent of 3. And you're thinking, well, Tepper, you don't have any hard evidence. Just take a look at this picture. Well, that's interesting. Here's just a photo of a mom, right? You familiar with reverse image search, Pickle? Because allow me to introduce you to Ohio State grad student Megan Vendemia, who, let me pull this up, you can see in the 2017 Ohio State Graduate Student Spotlight. So we talked about, it's not that. So we talked a little bit about that, and it's a fascinating story, I think, Pickle. Mm-hmm. Of the youths today who are finding a way to try to bully their schools into being closed. And so I wanted to explore this story a little bit more deeply, and so I've called in an expert in the field. Let's go to the hotline, Pickle.
Okay.
And we're pleased to welcome in live from Chapman University in Orange, California. We're pleased to be joined by Dr. Megan Vendemia, rather. I've been practicing all weekend, and I got Dr. Vendemia. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem. How's it going?
We're doing great. First of all, I want to apologize for butchering your name on Friday.
It's okay. I feel like that's a really common mistake. I'm lucky if someone does pronounce my name correctly.
Well, listen, as somebody whose last name is Tepper and you have a producer whose last name is Pickle.
We get it.
Girl, same. So just to get a basis of fact here, I want to make sure we some basic questions. First and foremost, that photo that we showed on Friday, is that in fact you?
That is, in fact, me, although I feel like that picture was taken maybe nearly a decade ago.
Yeah.
But it is who I used to probably look a little more like.
Okay, so there's that. Secondly, do you go by Haley?
I don't typically go by Haley. I think maybe some of my friends will start calling me Haley, but I'm pretty sure I don't go by Haley.
Okay, that's great. Are you a mother of 3 living in Flower Mound, Texas?
I do not think I don't think I can confirm those details. Nope, I don't live in Flower Mound, Texas, and I don't have 3 children.
Great, okay, fantastic. And then just finally, again, just establishing a basis of fact. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not at all, 10 being extremely, how concerned are you with the closure status of the Louisville Independent School District?
You know, I will say, as someone who grew up in the Midwest, I do know the euphoria of closing schools related to a snow day. Mm-hmm. Personally, today, I'm not super worried about closing schools in other school districts, but I can understand why that's important. Personally, I'm not too invested in the Louisville school district, though.
Good. So we've established that base of fact. Now, you are, of course, an assistant professor there at Chapman University out there in California. We connected on social media. You saw the video that we did on Friday, and I'm just interested in what your initial reaction was whenever you
who are these crazy
caught
people?
Wind of
Well, I'll be honest. It was a Friday night, and I had my phone out with drinks with friends, and I had a notification that it was tagged in something, and I was like, oh, great. This is like some spam I'm being tagged in to like buy Bitcoin or something like that. Mm-hmm. So my initial reaction was like, oh, is this legitimate, even the tagging of me in this post? And then I listened to your quick clip and realized that you were a legitimate person. Actually, that was a concern. Are you a person?
That's a questionable.
Honestly, great
we're still
question.
questioning that.
To see if you were a real account, like, was this a legitimate story? Those sorts of things that are kind of like, when you're tagging something random like that. So that's kind of how the process. And then after a minute of like listening to your clip, I'm like, okay, this even seems even more related to things I know a little bit about. So there was first like panic mode to being like a little bit like, all right, okay, like this is interesting because legitimately this ties into my research. So went from kind of like, is this legit to, all right, maybe we could spin this into something like a learning moment, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, because
that?
this is something that we obviously didn't know, and this is called a great bit of kismet, if you will. But you actually study online impersonation. Am I wrong?
Holy cow!
A little bit, yeah. Some of the early research I did was really trying to understand when people are trying to portray like false communal support, like whether they be organizations or individuals online. Because that's not a new tactic. I think it's pretty established in other realms. I don't know that it's been used to close school districts, though.
Yeah, it's pretty wild when we saw it, because we see. I know you're from Ohio. You're from Youngstown, Ohio, and so you saw what we would have last week, and you would think that was hilarious and adorable. But for us, it was crippling. About here in Texas, it was for about 4 days. So now you are an academic. You're the smartest person in this conversation by a factor of about 30.
Yes.
But
I don't know about that. But
but I want to welcome you. I want to ask you to come down to the dumb zone with us for a moment. Okay.
Sure.
And take off your academic hat, and I want you to go.
I didn't even put it on this morning. I didn't even put it on this morning.
Great. We're in a great spot. Go back to your days when you were, I presume, a star student at Ursuline High School there in Youngstown. Before you were an outstanding, by the way, speech and debate coach there. And I want you to go back there, and I want you to put yourself in that mindset of these youths, these teens. Is there at least some part of you that respects the hustle of this?
I can appreciate the strategy. I can appreciate the strategy. I'd prefer it not involving real people. I think that's probably, I think that's probably my hot take on that. But I can appreciate the hustle of like, I get the strategy makes sense. It makes sense.
Do you have any idea how they got that photo or how they chose this particular photo?
That's a great question, because I feel like that's in some obscure part of the internet in 2017. So that actually would be my great question for Haley.
Yeah.
Just like how, I'm like just like truly intrigued, because that, it's a newsletter for a graduate student spotlight, which I don't think gets a lot of mainstream attention. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, and especially in 2023. I mean, it's not like it's a you mentioned it. The photo might be 10 years old, and yet somebody just grabbed it and threw it onto their Twitter account, their sock puppet Twitter account, to try to convince their school district to be closed. I know this is a dream come true for you to be on a football show in the state of Texas. I'm sure this is
very excited from my days of watching Friday Night Lights. This is my dream.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to talk, I do have to ask you, since we are a football show, and so we're obligated by law to talk about football. Do you have any takes on the Super Bowl this week?
Well, I'm disappointed that the Cincinnati Bengals are not in it. That's my hot take.
Me and you both.
Pickle, our producer, is a big Joe Burrow fan for reasons that have nothing to do with football.
Thank you. Finally, some logic on this show.
Okay. Fantastic. Dr. Megan Vendemia, she is the assistant professor in the School of Communication there at Chapman University. Dr. Vendemia, thank you so much for your time.
This is wonderful.
And for clearing up some of these things. If you have something you'd like to plug, if there's something you'd like to tell people, do you have a real Twitter account?
I do have a real Twitter account. Yep. I think you tagged it.
Yeah.
You want to know more about how to detect impersonation online or pretending to be other people? My only advice would be, now with reversed lookup functions, it was pretty easy for you to find out who it was. So, I think that can throw a wrench into future strategies for the fake Twitters.
It also strikes me that, especially in the day of now the like the AI photos, like we don't need to be.
Yeah, that was my thought.
We don't have to be using people's real photos. You know what I mean?
Don't have to be real. Yeah.
Just use the egg. It's fine. Dr. Megan Vendemia of Chapman University. Dr. Vendemia, thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate you helping us put a bow on what we think is a pretty groundbreaking report. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Vendemia. There she goes. And so that concludes
We brought justice.
what we think has been a really remarkable series.
Yeah.
Thanks to Dr. Vendemia. Hit the theme expo. Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership.
As your full Twitter is up on the...
Here in beautiful, there's my mentions. Here in beautiful Louisville, Texas, it is Texas Football Today, a show that's really just an investigative journalism podcast.
We are Dateline.
My name's Greg. If you're listening to the podcast, go back and watch the last two pre-shows.
It is totally worth your time.
It's honestly, it's the best thing we've ever done in the pre-show.
Yes.
It's great.
I agree.
My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor.
Other than that guy trying to eat pasta in the laundry or in the washing machine.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's pretty good.
Dr. Vendemia and the guy eating spaghetti in the dryer. What a terrible show this is. My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine, texasfootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live, texasfootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the places, or you'll just listen to the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part. Support your local mediocre internet show. I'm sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She's a Dutch to the door. She's Ashley Finn.
So, I guess like our chairman and our new president
of our
majority owners are in here today. So it's been like really serious business talk, and then they let us come in this room secluded, and we're like, oh yeah, the guy eating spaghetti in a dryer. Like it was kind of pent up, you know.
I texted
the
Pickle.
nonsense was too pent up.
I texted Pickle this weekend, and I said, hey, I booked a guest for the pre-show on Monday, Dr. Megan Vendemia. She was like, what?
Yeah, we've been talking like ROIs all morning and set goals of revenue, and then we come in here and we're like, oh, thank God.
Today is Monday, February 6th, 2023. It is a grand total of 290 days until Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to Bob Marley, episode 1533. On today's show, folks, we've got headlines from across the state, including two entities that are not going anywhere, one in Austin and one in College Station. We'll talk about that. And back half the show, I caught up with Wichita Falls coach Grant Freeman, and we had a harsh financial talk about Dub the Coyote. So we'll talk about that coming up here at the back half of the program. Do we have first four through the door?
We sure do. It was Josh... I always mess up his name. Wyndham. Nick Morton. Jake McNeil. You did it this time. And your boy just Chad. That was a lot in the first four through the door. Welcome in, fellas.
A lot going on for an off-season Monday. Really hitting it hard. All right, Pickle. Let's get in some headlines from across the state of Texas. Enough with the fun. Let's get into some serious business. And that is, let's talk about some headlines. We'll start with a report that came out last week about the future of the Texas Longhorns. So perhaps you have heard the rumors that Texas and Oklahoma are leaving the Big 12. They're going to leave the Big 12 and go to the Southeastern Conference, better known as the SEC. And the grant of rights is what keeps these programs in their conference. The grant of rights is essentially, I Tepper University, am a member of the Pickle Conference.
Yes.
And so I grant my television rights, my media rights, to Pickle the Pickle Conference, and the Pickle Conference sells the media rights as a conglomerate.
Yeah.
So
that's literally like the sole foundation
yeah,
of revenue stream
that's
for
exactly
for
for college football, for college athletics. So the grant of rights is set to expire after the 2025 season, after the 2024 season.
Yes.
In 2025, July 2025, I think it is. And there had kind of been a working assumption that you know what, they're going to get out of this early. They're going to negotiate a deal. SEC, Big 12, and the media partners are going to come together and find some sort of way to wiggle out of this to get out a year early. To get out so that they could start playing, so that the first year of Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC would be in 2024 instead of in 2025.
Yes.
The idea being there's too much money to not let that happen. Well, now Pete Thamel at ESPN is reporting that negotiations have stalled between all those entities, the SEC, the Big 12, Texas OU themselves, the television networks, and that these two, and that, in fact, Texas and Oklahoma will not join the SEC until 2025. Now, I think what's important to remember is that these negotiations are ongoing, and you always got to think about who benefits whenever news like this gets out.
Yep.
Like there's like us in the media, we are often used as tools to get like negotiating tactics.
Oh,
this
yeah.
certainly could be a negotiating tactic. But for now, we've kind of been working under the assumption that this year in the Big 12 is going to be like, oh, it's wacky. There's 14 teams,
Yeah.
you know? We might get 2 of them. Like, there's a real possibility now with these reports out there that if Texas and OU do not leave until the 2025 season, that we would get 2 years of 14-team Big 12 madness.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, but I've always heard that it's not necessary. Texas, I think, could wrangle up the money to be able to pay the buyout to get out of the Big 12, but there's what I've heard is that OU doesn't necessarily have that same level, and if that's the case, it's pretty much seems confirmed that they're not going to go one person leaves before the other.
No.
They
They're
are a
deal.
package deal.
They're a package
and so
deal.
it's like, I think
for as big of rivals they are, they understand that they are stronger together.
Yep.
There's a reason that it's not just Texas leaving. That's
Right.
Texas and OU leaving together as a package. And the SEC probably wouldn't want, they would not pass up the opportunity to have Texas, but like they want them both.
Right.
And so I would say that, and I don't know that to be the fact or to be a fact. I've heard that,
Yeah.
but I don't know that to be a fact. The other thing is that while Texas and OU are rich, it's still a big check to write to leave.
Huge.
And so the idea of negotiating down an exit fee is really exactly what we're like. That's exactly what they're going for. They want to negotiate this down to a fee that's not going to be a killer. And so for now, they haven't come to that agreement. And as time ticks on, it becomes less and less likely that they're going to. But, ultimately, they don't have to come to a decision until like July 2024. They've got a full year and a half to get it done. But for now, Pete Thamel is saying that it may not happen. So prepare yourself for potentially 2 years of the 14-team Big 12. That's in Austin. Let's go to College Station, where the Texas A&M Aggies, I think, got their best news of the offseason this past week. And that is that Ainias Smith, the star wide receiver for Texas A&M, announced he will return for one more season. He only played 4 games last year, due to injury. But he has been very clearly, during Jimbo Fisher's time, very clearly their top target and their number one target. He only caught 15 passes last year, or in 2021. But was still the third leading receiver. He is their go-to guy. It'll be very interesting to see now because, Bobby Petrino takes over at the offensive coordinator spot. There are going to be some young stars on this offense between Evan Stewart and Moose Muhammad and Donovan Green. Connor Wigman is going to have his complement of weapons. When you add in Ainias Smith, they're going to have playmakers. They're going to have playmakers on the outside. How well can they put it all together? Can that offense find that juice that they were so obviously lacking last year? We'll find out. But it's big news for A&M as Anaya Smith announced he will return in 2023. That's huge. I imagine the way he's thinking is, well, let's put it this way. I imagine he got a draft grade back, and the draft grade was not something he was super pumped about. And so he's like, all right, we'll run it back one more year and see if I can up that grade, especially considering he was hurt for most of 2022. So, Anaya Smith is coming back. Speaking of the Big 12's new conference look, they put out their schedule for the 2023 season. Sorry, I'm getting all messed up. Put out their schedule. You can find it on TexasFootball.com. Couple things. One, welcome to, for Houston, the newest Texas member of the Big 12. Right into the fire, they open week 3 hosting TCU. You figured that they were going to give them a showcase matchup to open conference play. Not a whole lot more showcase than hosting a national runner-up in week 3. So that's big doings.
Houston also, this is kind of crazy. They have 8 of their 12 games are in the city of Houston.
Yeah.
Because they also, 2 of their non-conference games are Sam Houston and then Rice. So 8 of their 12 games will be held in the city of Houston.
Yeah, it is absolutely wild. They're not going to leave H-Town for a while. I thought if you're looking for winners and losers from the schedule, I thought Texas got a really soft landing. I thought Texas got a really soft landing overall, and they've got to feel pretty good about their schedule. I thought Tech actually got a pretty soft landing as well. I think if you're Baylor, you're wondering what'd you do to deserve this, because that's a tough road to hoe.
That is,
and especially
from matchups to on the road to all of it,
it's all pretty tough. Anyway, you can find the schedule there at TexasFootball.com. Elsewhere, headlines across state. Let's go drop to the Lone Star Conference, Division II. So Angelo State had a fabulous year last year. Fabulous season last year. 12-1, running all the way to the national semifinals, I believe. They were looking really good. They have now lost 2 All-Americans from last year to the transfer portal. Offensive lineman Jake Long and linebacker Darren Allman have recently announced they're going into the portal. This is the team that is expected to be one of the favorites in the Lone Star Conference going into 2023. To lose those 2 guys who were so integral to their run to the national semifinals, I think is pretty harmful. It hurts a lot, I think, for Angelo State. So keep an eye on that. How do they rebuild, and where do those guys land? They're going to be hot. They're going to be hot commodities, at least at the FCS level, I would say, if not at the FBS level, because they are guys who prove their mettle there at the Division II level. Elsewhere in college football, I want to make sure we mention this. Tarleton has hired an offensive coordinator. Mason Miller is going to be the offensive coordinator. He's going to assume play calling duties from Todd Whitten, their head coach. Miller has been on Mike Leach's staff the past 3 seasons, but he is actually a name that you may remember. He was their offensive coordinator back in 2014 and 2016. He was also on a staff there at McMurray before then. He was head coach for a year in 2013. He got his first college job with Hal Mummy there on the Southeastern Louisiana staff. So that Hal Mummy Mike Leach tree, he is a product of that. So what kind of offense will that bring to Tarleton? Probably a high-flying air raid style. So keep an eye on that. But Tarleton has hired Mason Miller to be their next offensive coordinator. Finally, the college football, or rather the high school football coaching change carousel continues to spin. TexasFootball.com has all the coaching changes, but I want to show you one in particular. That is that Flatonia has hired a new head coach. They've hired Brent Maschuk to be their next head coach. Maschuk comes to Flatonia, taking over a program that is in a good spot to compete. He has been for the last 7 years. He's been at West Columbia. And has done pretty darn good things. I would expect him to continue to run something like the Wing T, which is what he ran there at West Columbia with a couple of big time, a couple of real successful stints there. Had a couple of big seasons there at West Columbia. But Brent Maschuk is going to be the next head coach at Flatonia. So we got all the coaching changes at TexasFootball.com. Those are some headlines from across the state. We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. TexasFootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football recruiting all across the Lone Star State. And now, word from our friends, VCR Now.
Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texas loves doing business with fellow Texans. VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW.
Pickle, a couple weeks ago, maybe last week, I don't know, time has no meaning, especially when I was home with my kids on those snow days. We were at the Lone Star, or DFW Coaching Clinic. DFW Coaching Clinic there in Grapevine, talking with a number of coaches across the state. One of them, the head coach of those regional finalists, Wichita Falls Coyotes.
Dub.
Coach Grant Freeman. Talked with him. Here's our conversation with Grant Freeman, the father of Dub the Coyote, here on Texas Football Today. Greg Tepper, Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com here in Grapevine at the DFW Coaches Clinic with a tall jerk, Grant Freeman, head coach of the Wichita Falls Coyotes. You, like, literally, before we came on, you were like, do I need a stool? Dude, I'm like almost 6'1". I don't want to hear.
I am proud of you. You have grown a little bit. You hit, you've kind of hit that growth stage where we're getting up there.
I'm not short.
No, you're not. You're actually not. I'm just abnormally tall.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is about you and not me.
It's more about me than you.
Yeah,
but
exactly. All right. Speaking of about you, let's talk about your football team last year. See that? That's a professional segue. You guys make it to the regional finals there, Dub the Coyote, kind of get you guys to there. I'm interested in when you thought there might be something really special cooking there, because obviously it turned out to be pretty special.
We really kind of turned the corner right after the Graham game. We got our butts beat in the fourth quarter of the Graham game, and we kind of went back to the drawing board and just kind of changed some things up, and then we started playing really good football after that. And through the district slate and into the playoffs, just played really well, kind of gelled as a team. We were doing things well, and really thought we were a couple of plays away from playing in Cowboy Stadium, and it was a fun group to coach. But man, I've never seen a team come together like that late in the year, and they really did a great job of just gelling right at the end.
I am, now. How do you use that to go even farther next year? You guys are entering such an interesting 2023 season. It is the last season of Old High, and yet you guys are, playing your best football right now. So how do you approach the offseason, 2023, all that, with everything going on? It's
really strange. I've never been I don't think anybody's been in this position, but, we talk about, representing the school and sending it out on the right path. It's Texas Monthly is one of the best football programs of all time. And for the last year of that, we talk about that in offseason. We talk about the kids leaving this last year on a good note, and we return a lot of special kids, actually. And, we just talk about doing things right through offseason, making sure that we have a great year as we go out, and then on to something new after that.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about your defense last year, which I thought really not only grew as the season went on, but also when the weather turned cold, you guys were playing awfully good defense. What was it about your defense last year that really made it special, that set it apart?
What's really interesting is we started the year as a base 3-4. We started in that, and after that Graham game, we went to a 3-3-5 and just said, how do we get our best athletes on the field So we kind of changed some things around, put an extra defensive back on the field, and we actually just played a lot freer. They ran, they hit, they did a good job of being in that scheme where, as coaches, we kind of messed it up. Like we weren't very, as good as we could be in a 4-3, in a 3-4, but in a 3-3-5, we were really good. And so that was one of the things where we fit our kids really well, and they went and made plays.
Now on to the important questions. I understand you have a house guest at the moment. Is this something you're at liberty to discuss?
So we're excited in the Wichita Falls area. Kyle Atwood's coming from Alice, coming to Holiday, a good friend. The Freeman household is up for rent. We have rooms for rent. So we've talked to Greg Tepper about coming out. So Coach Atwood is going to try to get things going there at Holiday. They've done a great job out there, and we're excited to have him up in the area. Angelo Takeover up in Wichita Falls area, so we're really excited about it.
One of the other things about your deep playoff run is that you are unable to call games for Texan Live, which you've done in the past.
Sad.
Which do you prefer, coaching playoff games or calling playoff games on Texan Live, TexanLive.com?
Well, I will tell you, TexanLive.com is a lot warmer up in the booth than it was in the 19 degrees and raining at the Brownwood Round 3 game in Abilene. But, I love doing it both. I love getting to help you guys out. It's a lot of fun to get to do that. But, obviously playing is a lot more fun being with my group.
So, and finally, you would celebrate every victory.
Yeah.
By tweeting out "Dub the Coyote,"
Yeah.
and Mallory's going to splice in "Dub the Coyote" here.
That's
Of course, somebody that you drew at the Dave Campbell's Texas football booth. He's now become a phenomenon.
Worldwide phenomenon.
A worldwide phenomenon is "Dub the Coyote," so much so that there is now merch.
There's merch. Here's the thing. Dub's got a big head now. He's gone to another level. We started out, he was just a little guy. He was kind of on the ground level, and now you've made him. I think actually you've made him, big. Like my artistic skills are outstanding, obviously, and so we're talking about next level stuff here. But Dub the Coyote became a phenomenon. We had a lot of fun with it this year. We're really excited about it. So hopefully I won't have to draw anything this year at coaching school. Hopefully I won't have to draw anything this year at coaching school, and so we'll just continue letting Dub live on.
My question is, who do I talk to about Dave Campbell's residuals for all this merch? Because I know he's a cash cow.
So Dub has his own agent now, so you're going to need to contact him. He's got a really big head, so it's been a bad deal. But we're trying to bring him back down to earth. But yes, he does have an agent. He's trying to copyright himself. Yeah. So you're going to need to talk to somebody way over my head.
But he's just got to go 1-0 every day.
Just 1-0. Yeah. That's Dub.
Coach, appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
There is Grant Freeman, head coach of the Wichita Falls Coyotes, who's making just big buku bucks off a dub.
I respect the hustle of saying, we play a little bit of a part in that.
Yeah.
We need maybe a thank you from Dub would be nice. That's all we're asking for, Dub.
Would be nice. Guy can dream. Anyway, Grant Freeman, head coach of the Wichita Falls Coyotes. Do you know they open with Ryder? It's going to be the last ever meeting between Rojo and Old High.
That's fun.
Good matchup there at Memorial Stadium. Anyway, let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
A quick programming note since we're starting off the week here. We will have a show Monday through Thursday. We will not have an episode of TFT on Friday.
Okay.
That is of note.
Okay. So no TFT on Friday.
No TFT on Friday because we're doing WTF live from the Hill Country Coaching Clinic at 2 on Friday. So.
Okay. Oh, I won't let me repeat it. Oh, well, let's do that. I had the it was going to be just the best day. We were having the guy eating spaghetti in a dryer.
Which is a competition, by the way.
That is a competition. Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Anyway.
Now we got to go do more business stuff.
That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbells. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbells. Of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Thanks to Wichita Falls coach Grant Freeman and Chapman University professor Dr. Megan Vendemia for being our guests. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please be your player of the year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow for probably a less fun show on Texas Football Today.